In the story of progress, every chapter of development adds depth, richness, and meaning to our collective narrative. From the smallest steps to the grandest strides, every act of development paves the way for a brighter tomorrow. Welcome to the Development Report on People's 105.5 FM, where we talk about pressing issues surrounding sustainable development. I'm all about everything development, from women's empowerment to children's rights, climate change, water resources, food waste management, and more. I am Ife Onyekwere, and together we'll be coming close to our common good as a nation as we look into accelerating Nigeria's energy transition for sustainable development. I will not be doing this alone because we have in the studio Professor Magnus Onuoha, who is the President, Governing Council, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Association Alliance. Good afternoon, sir. We're great.
Thank you, Ife, for having me.
Yeah. How are you doing today?
Very well, very well.
Well done, sir. All right. So talking about accelerating Nigeria's energy transition for sustainable development, we're going to be looking at, let's talk about, universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services, which is critical to sustainable development. And we know that SDG 7 talks about affordable and clean energy. Our guest will be doing justice to that when we start conversation on the topic. But for now, we'll be taking the development news stories shortly.
We inform, we educate, we entertain. We are the People's 105.5 FM, Abuja.
Now, for the headlines, federal government targets job creation and sustainable development through space technology. Nigeria targets energy leadership in Africa with Petroleum Industry Act, and global dialogue boosts city-level climate action and investment. The federal government has announced plans to boost job creation, sustainable development, and connectivity through investment in space technology. Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Chief Uche Naji, made this known during the Nigerian Satellite Week in Abuja, emphasizing the role of collaboration between the public and private sectors in shaping the country's space future. He highlighted the government's commitment to creating an enabling environment for technological advancement with participation from startups, the military, and educational institutions. Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Ambassador Nicholas Agbo-Ella, says Nigeria is set to lead Africa in energy investments with the leverage on the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. Speaking at a stakeholders engagement in Abuja, Ambassador Ella highlighted how the Petroleum Industry Act is transforming the oil and gas sector by promoting transparency, sustainability, and attracting global investment. The Oil and Gas Investment Compendium was unveiled to guide investors in tapping into Nigeria's energy opportunities. The fourth global dialogue under the Mitigation Work Program has emphasized the urgent need to scale up climate ambition and action. Held in Egypt, the event focused on fostering sustainable, low-carbon cities and overcoming investment barriers to climate-friendly urban development. The United Nations Climate Change Senior Director, Daniel Violetti, stressed the importance of collaboration to develop scalable solutions, while participants highlighted key strategies like integrated urban planning, electrification, and green infrastructure. And that's it on the development news segment. Keep it right locked here because we have more engaging content to discuss about. But before we go into the main content, before we take a music break, I'd like you, Prof, I'd like you to react to the news. The one that says Permanent Secretary, Minister of Petroleum Resources says Nigeria is set to lead Africa in energy investment with a leverage on the Petroleum Industry Act. Are we prepared for this? What are we doing in terms of this?
Yeah, in terms of, I'm speaking as a green economist. We're looking at natural gas for us to transit into low carbon resource efficient trajectory, energy transition. We're bringing in natural gas as a viable energy for the future, sustainable future. In fact, it was accepted at global COP26 in Glasgow. So natural gas, yes, is very critical. We can use it to drive energy transition and, of course, sustainable development. So I agree with so what I seek to do is, if you are talking about the petroleum, it must be clean. You must have a decarbonization, mechanism, technology to make it clean. That is energy transition. So you don't need to flare gas. You don't need to do this. So within that investment must have a bent on decarbonization technology. How do you remove the pollution at source to make the energy clean? That's what decarbonization is all about. That's
amazing.
What energy transition.
Okay.
So it's very. So I'm looking forward to the investment outlay. To what extent do we bring in? Are we bringing decarbonization technology to make our energy clean? So,
amazing.
So that's so yeah. It's a good investment. We need to do energy mix coherent. Any source, but as long as that source is clean and reliable,
Amazing.
I'm good to go. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, we're going to take a music break right now, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing accelerating Nigeria's energy transition for sustainable development.
Jehovah Jireh, my provider, Chimamanda. Jehovah Nisi, my healer, Chimamanda. Ocean divider, my redeemer, Chimamanda. Everybody came, my comforter, Chimamanda. Onye nwelu chukwu nwelu nchekwube Chigamanda. Ịtụ kwasị obi na Chineke Chigamanda. Chimamanda. Chimamanda nata. Bịaga gwachi anya Amanda. Chimamanda. Mr. Flavor is Africa, Chigamanda. Mama mo formula se Chigamanda nata. Papa mo neme Chigamanda. Madam Baka adoration Chigamanda. Joshua the synagogue, Chunamanda. The clergy kneeling in a roll, Chunamanda. Chimamanda. Chimamanda. Chimamanda.
We educate, we entertain, we are the people's 105.5 FM, Abuja.
All right, we're discussing accelerating Nigeria's energy transition for sustainable development. And you can join the conversation on our social media platforms at People's 105.5 FM. And you can also interact with us on telephone at 0911 222 1055. And on WhatsApp, you can also send in your messages on 0911 112 1055. And on X, I am at TDEV Report, at TDev Report. All right, discussing with Professor Magnus in the studio. Sir, while we're doing our best, I believe that there is much more to do as regards energy transition for our country, Nigeria. So what does this mean, for the average Nigeria in terms of access to reliable and affordable energy?
Thank you, Fee. Nigeria's energy demand is still over-biased. By this I mean more than 80% of this so-called 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts we generate is still consumed by the urban areas, leaving over 70% to the rural. The 70% of Nigerians rural area don't have access. So you can see the gap. And that is what informed, we need to bridge that gap. There was the policy trust that came in, and the need to us to move towards rural areas. And like I said, we talk about the renewable energy efficiency in the policy came in 2015 with Rural Development Agency as an institution giving the mandate to that we should have access, that let the rural areas have this access in order to close the gap. I tell you what, that's a very good policy. And, so we are looking at, but if you look at the grid system has collapsed. And if we have to rely on the grid system, so that's why there is a request for a transition towards an off-grid system. So let's have this in rural areas. We don't need the grid system to get into. So that's why you look at the various levels of mini grids, solar home systems, and all that is being deployed. The essence is to close the gap to have access. So of late now, we are having stages of mini grids in the rural areas and all that to have access. But I tell you what, it is still a drop in the ocean. And I will say that Nigeria's energy transition cannot be driven, and that's why when you look at renewables, it seems as if it's still evolving in this country. In spite of the fact that we live in equator, the technology is evolving. Yes, thank God for solar, and wind and all that. So by bringing in natural gas, and as part of the energy bill, is going to really help us a lot towards this access. The rural areas, and of course, energy is the fulcrum in terms of production. And if you don't have energy, how can we talk about sustainable development?
Exactly.
So some of them try to do three things: build livelihoods, improve the quality of life, and alleviate poverty. So, and if you don't do that, there's a tripod in sustainable development. We talk about the economic aspect of it.
That's right.
The economic prosperity, the social aspect of it, in terms of employment creation, capacity building, and the environmental aspect of it in terms of protecting the integrity of the planet or the environment. So, and if you have a clean energy, you are good to go to achieve these three objectives.
Looking at the way the rural community is, I'm going to use the Nigerian rural community as an example. How sustainable would it be if we try to transition, we move from what we're doing to more cleaner energies? Are they able? What's the capacity? What is required that there will be a sustainability if this is actually carried out in this kind of places?
Well, thank God you mentioned capacity. For us to drive energy transition, we need to build capacity along the value chain of energy transition.
That's right.
Value chain in terms of engineering, in terms of designing, in terms of even credit writing, access to climate financing. So you cannot, if you want to do solar now, you don't have idea of designing or the engineering aspect of it. So Nigerians I don't believe in going to import all this stuff. So if you're importing, create a scenario where Nigerians must be active participants, to be trained, to have this capacity is the hubnut. That's the truth. It is the starting point.
Exactly.
I don't like what happened to oil and gas to happen here. It took Nigerian Content Act of 2010 for Nigerians to be an active participant in the exploitation. We were doing mainly administrative work. It was the expertise that was doing this thing in the exploration, it's the expatriates. But Nigeria, for us to go into the energy transition, capacity development and enhancement is the key. And I believe that I'm happy the government and policymakers are listening. And I've said it even within the association where I preside. Our capacity is our number one, because the moment you generate capacity, look, you don't need to have this Chinese saying that teach me the art of catching fish, so that when the fish now, I take the hook.
Exactly.
And so that is sustainability. So you're not the person that's giving me fish all the time. So let's understand the value chain in this energy transition. So
would you say they are actually from your knowledge and your experience in this field, green energy? Would you actually say that some organizations or the government have done more to ensure that more people are empowered and to avoid a scenario where we have to keep relying on importation to actually meet our green energy sources?
Well, in terms of policy and regulations, Nigeria have done well. The policies are issued, Electricity Act of 2023, over 90% of the production of that act is on renewable energy. Okay, and so you can say investors can come in now to do business because there's laws and regulations in place. The most important thing, the challenge we have is the willpower, the political will to do among politicians and civil servants, so to speak, because the investors are just there waiting for the enabling environment, the popular enabling environment. But so far, so good. I would say what happened 10 years ago, the government is showing interest in clean energy. Just last week, the Minister of Power was in Nigerian Energy Forum at Landmark in Lagos. We're excited about his commitment and the president's commitment about energy transition, taking it to the next level. And when I see somebody who is very passionate, I don't have it out of that mind. It depends on who is the leadership. So what I have seen from the current Minister of Power and some agency institutions, Energy Commission of Nigeria, DG, was there, and they have shown interest about this of the clean energy. So for those of us in the private sector and the civil society, ours is to be happy to continue to push them that this is the way to go. That's the global understanding, the global narrative that we move away from. The energy transition came from there were times when we were using straw. From straw to firewood, from firewood to coal, from coal to oil and gas, to renewable energy. So that's a transition. So we need to be upbeat. Like I said earlier, for us to drive energy transition, we must, as a matter of fact, bring in energy efficient technologies that will help to clean up the environment, to make us, if we are to achieve the objective of environmental integrity, cleaning the environment. You must bring decarbonized technology that will enable us to get this. I think we are good to go. Let me also tell you, there are also incentivization mechanisms in line with the global standard. That if you are into energy transition, there will be an incentivization mechanism, but what we call the carbon market and trading opportunity for you to earn money by helping to save the environment, by helping to reduce the emission in the environment. That's what we call the carbon market and trading. I don't have time to say that here. So if you sit down, you have access to clean climate financing. For long as you follow the methodology, you have access to climate finance. That's why we're looking at small and medium enterprises to, as a matter of fact, gain to be ethical in your business. Ethical means the business under clean energy is about ethics. You don't shunt. Yeah. Because the carbon will breathe. Whether you're in Sokoto or you're in Abuja, will breathe the same air. So all happen to reduce the emission. So if you do ethical in your business and follow your transparent, you will have access to financing. In other words, if you have that environmental sustainability integrity, you have access to financing. I'm also telling the banks, that as a matter of fact, I know they have a sustainable report, sustainable bank. The bank should begin to now think through. And some of them are doing that. I don't want to mention them. I mean, Access Bank, Sterling Bank, they've shown interest on running through with the investors to ensure that that sustainable finance windows for the investors to come in and invest in the energy transition. Nigeria we're upbeat to it. It's not a quantum leap yet, but I can see the trajectory, the direction. When we follow the roadmap, methodically, we're good to go. Yeah. Our energy transition on net zero is 2060. Okay, as against the global 2050. Why? Why? Because we have natural gas. We want to let us our own 2060 net zero is by 2060 because we're going to use natural gas. Natural gas is not 100% clean, but it's as a blend. So I know by 2060 we'll finally get to net zero.
Amazing. Well, we're really going to come back to that issue of opportunities for those who probably are even thinking of, doing some things. I believe one or two people listening, would actually have interest in this clean energy discussions and will be looking forward to deeper explanations of the opportunities. So talking about renewable energy sources like solar, wind, hydropower, they're actually essential for reducing carbon emissions, right? So what progress has while looking at the progress Nigeria has made, like you just pointed out, what are the biggest obstacles to scaling this nationwide to avoid it just being, in the papers or within a sector of people? How do this get into, let me use the term, the common man? What is obstructing it?
You're talking about risk analysis now. Yeah. Alliance and the World Economic Forum, we recently did a study about this access to finance and what are the challenging issues. We identified 10 risks. It's not what I'm going to share here, but I know that climate risk, regulatory risk, even financing, exchange rate, upfront costs occasioned by volatility of exchange rate.
Yeah.
These are some of the risks and that risk. But however, we are also going to learn to how to de-risk. We have identified the risk institutions that also de-risk this, all these indicators, so to speak. So the document is there, and we have shared with the government and all that. And the banks are also coming in. We don't need to, because of the upfront costs. We are saying, okay, we must not pay. Let's have a Nairanization policy instead of using dollar to buy this lithium batteries or whatever. And so these are things. So there are institutions that are ready to de-risk using pay in Naira. In fact, credit and some of these.
Is this something that is already?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's something that's why knowledge is inexhaustible. You need to let the world know if they want. I can avail them the knowledge, what Renewable Energy Efficiency Association Alliance and World Economic Forum did a 16-month study, 18-month study on this, and it's in I can avail them the document and all that. So it's something that we can, but like I said, government must, as a matter of fact, priority be in the forefront, because the risk element here is still very high because of. The private sector remains of only profit maximization.
Exactly.
Without considering the social and environmental
exactly.
So what we're saying there is sustainable profit. So government should need to come in to provide a cushion effect for the private sector. And that's why government can also provide an environment. Let banks begin to have a single-digit loan instead of 25% to 26%. So commercial loan cannot thrive. Commercial loan cannot. If you're into energy transition business, you cannot get. That's why many people are looking for grants.
Yes.
Venture capital and stuff like that. So it's something that is in the loop. Everybody. We need to. The idea now is not for us to have. We're not the capitalists now. The capitalists that have profit maximization. We're not looking at sustainable profit without compromising your environmental integrity. So, but like I said, we are good to go. Plans are there, and private sector are being mobilized as well in the process of ensuring that we do enough business. Like these private, small and medium enterprises are there. Solar homes, you see them. A lot of Nigerian companies are going into this energy transition, clean energy business, so to speak. So it's a win-win for us on that.
Amazing. All right, so we're opening the phone lines. You can start calling in. The number is 091 1222 1055 and join the conversation. I take it again. You can call in on 091 1222 1055, and on WhatsApp you can send in your message on 091 1112 1055. All right, we know that the Nigerian economy has long depended on fossil fuels, particularly oil, right?
Yes.
And how do we ensure that people who are workers, or communities that have depended on the oil and gas industries are not left behind? Because this can actually be touchy for some people, because we've actually stayed along, in this part. So what do we do to ensure that we don't leave some certain people behind? That
is why there's a clause that says the transition must be just. Just transition. Just transition means that everybody is not left behind. whether you are man, woman, youth, the physically challenged, those who are in the oil and gas industry. Of course, there's a whole money. We're going to have advocacy, so many awareness to say you're not going to lose your job.
Yeah.
There is social awareness, social awareness creation, in terms of letting people know that even though this is bad, but it's not bad if you have a cleaner technology to drive the process. So we're going to have, that's a just transition. That's why energy transition, beyond the just a just transition, that means that you shouldn't leave everybody behind in this transition. You must not lose their job, okay, in the process of doing that. So, and that's, Nigeria has an effective energy transition plan. Go and do that plan. You also make provision for a just transition. So those of you in the oil and gas, you see, they are even transiting. You have Total Energy, you have this energy, Health Energy, a whole of them are in that process, and they've not lost. But in other words, there must be a social balance.
That's right.
Begin to create that awareness of a truth that you're not going to lose your job in the process. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. It was some weeks back. I wanted to take one of these hill riding drops. One of these companies that do transportation businesses, and the car actually came to pick me was an electric vehicle, right? So this is actually one of the methods that would ensure that we have a sustainable energy future, right? And so what strategies are we using to encourage or adopt? Because while I came down, I was actually happy that this is actually coming closer to us. By the day we're beginning to transit, a lot of changes are happening. If we look down, we'll see that we're not left behind. Let me use that sentence, right? So how do you encourage people who might have doubts about some of this transition? The thing about culture, the things about trying to pull out of something and embrace something new, right? So speak to Nigerians. How do we embrace this? Talking about electric vehicles and a cleaner energy.
It's just like let me give you have a traditional cook stove with firewood, okay?
Yeah.
And here you're having gas-powered clean stove. There are still people who refuse to move away from it. They say that one, the food is
sweeter.
That is their mindset. They see it's part of the entrenched system. Yeah, one of the shortcomings of this transition, the entrenched system. There are still people who believe that diesel power, you cannot. I don't want to quote one hospital that we went to see, want to retrofit your hospital, mighty hospital here in Abuja. I said, no. In the procurement department, they said, no, are you telling us that if you do put through solar now, we won't be buying diesel again? Okay, so they're getting something from diesel and all that. Can you imagine?
They refuse to transition.
He's concentrating his profit motive without the environmental, the health implication of it. So I don't want to mention the hospital. It's really there. Really there. So you can imagine there's somebody sitting there, a procurement officer, no, telling the medical director, no, let's continue with diesel. That's wrong. But they've seen the world has moved, and so giving to electric vehicles, if you see, even though we still have that challenge of power,
exactly.
It's still, Rome was not built in a day. One day begins the story. And there was an argument that, our own hybrid, we should have a hybrid model where you can use biofuel. You plant jatropha, gomara, neem and all that stuff to generate. So can use it to power, use a blend of gasoline with biofuel. That's a cleaner. But no matter the trajectory, it is important that we are driving net zero. Whether you call it low carbon resource efficiency, there's a net zero plan for all countries. So it's interesting. Nigeria is coming up with EVC, electric vehicles, and all that. It must be encouraged, because whether we like it or not, I came back from the Landmark conference. The vehicle that drove us around was an electric vehicle, noiseless, pollution-free, and all that. Even though it was like a car, so it's something that is very encouraging. But I always believe, I don't believe in technological transfer, adaptation. Let's begin to have capacity. Can we begin to assemble those vehicles here? Okay?
Instead of bringing them in.
So in terms of social components, let's employ people. Let me tell you, as an economy, there's what we call the multiplier, the growth potential in the economy. When you gainfully employed, you earn income, and that income becomes an expenditure. The expenditure becomes an income. So that is what it helps to grow the economy. That's production. Okay? And so we are saying that don't so much depend on importing these vehicles. Encourage automobile, motors, some of these vehicles, automotive, encourage them. And of course, Innocent is going to CNG now, which is interesting. So encourage automobile. Let's have these assembly plants here. And so that at the end of the day, the amount of money, employment that's going to be created. Let me tell you, in the energy transition plan, let me say solar. For 1 megawatt of solar you deploy, okay, there are over 3,000 jobs in the value chain. In terms of inverters, artisans, I'll just name them, okay? I stand to be corrected, even when we operate oil and gas from 1956 to present, when we discovered oil and gas, we have not engaged more than 50,000 people. In terms of entrance and exits, that is clock in and clock out, the market coming in and coming out, not up to, I stand to be it IOC or NNPC or indigenous companies, but in the clean energy space, the potential for over 10 million jobs in the next 2 years for Africa is assured. Wow. Yes, and that 10 million, more than 3 or 4 will come into Nigeria. So it is very good. So EVC is a welcome development. But however, I said it must not be import dependent. Let's create a scenario where we can assemble for the next 5 years in Nigeria. The next 10 years, we can now do what we call manufacturing here. That's where the impact, will be much felt. Yeah.
I think you have a question here from the input you gave about the hospital that refused to. So someone here from Lagos is actually asking, okay, so how do the procurement officer make profits? Because I believe he has done his research. Okay, so
no, it's not about profit. It's not about profit. It's about, listen, energy demand for it is a given. You need power to power of hospital, schools, and all whatnot. I tell you what, making profit is more expensive to procure diesel power than solar. The upfront cost, if you can take that upfront cost, that was, I told you about the risking mechanism, where how to counter if the banks comes in to give, to show up that the moment you deploy that, okay, you are sure of 100% power in that hospital. Unlike every day you come to buy diesel and that kind of a thing. Yeah. So it's a mechanism. So that's why the upfront cost. So, but the man was thinking of the mentality of the profit motive for him, not for, it's a public good. We are rendering public service. In terms of power, the energy demand for hospitals and schools is assured, okay? So what you provide a mechanism, investment mechanism where you can power with renewables. And they have a financing option of payment, which is very okay. Banks are coming in now to say to de-risk this investment costs, upfront costs. Amazing. But that's what we are saying. So move away from the old system of the transition. You want to go into that diesel power. Move away to, we have gone beyond that, so to speak. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. Let's move to the African continent as a whole and other continents. Given the increasing frequency of climate-related issues, the intense heat, even down to Abuja here. I don't know if you are aware of some shakings that happened in the Pape area so how can accelerating this energy transition, is this something that can actually build climate resilience? And is that something the locals, in these communities should be doing to also enhance the effort of, ensuring that we don't have repeated issues as this?
Yeah, you mentioned the word building resilience. One thing about there are 3 scenarios in the climate change. Climate change is now a monster. So it has stayed with us. When you say a monster, come to live with us. So what do we do when you have that monster? You cope. you do coping method. That's why I say people now see, because of erratic rain, you can see rainwater harvest. People are harvesting rain.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine October, November, still rain, still stay. So you can see, so you have to build adaptive measures to contain that tremor. Then the next one is the mitigation measure, which is how to reduce the emission. That's why this putting this mitigation option, deploying renewables and all. Let me tell you, if peradventure you put in renewable energy in this space, you have created a statement of clean energy. Okay, you are, even when you plant trees, okay, you are making a statement of afforestation. You
That's
are
right.
preventing. When you go to the Papa area, so those when you cut tree, have what you call reforestation. When you reforest, your carbon sink. You are helping to preserve the integrity of the environment. So people are not so much interested in, just want to cut those blasting. You blast. You're not conscious of the fact that the earth, geomorphology of the earth crust is being affected. So we need to do those. You don't just give licenses to people to go and go into crushing and all that. So there are so much adaptive and mitigation measures. The community within themselves must learn to create awareness. In fact, if they shout, the community can say, what this construction company is doing here, don't do that. It will affect our environment. You have to, that's why the civil society, where are the civil society? So because you know the implication of this, you don't cross because you want to make money from the air. So you see, you just need to create awareness.
That's right.
The essence of the community need to own whatever thing, the environment. You need to preserve the environment. The community first. And that's why you have community-based organizations to be in the forefront to name and shame whoever that is doing. If government gives you a certificate, it's not enough for us to come and destroy our environment.
Exactly.
Because government wants to make money. So it's something that we should. How dare you in most of the developed climates? You can't just go in and
start
begin
blasting
to blast all the rock. I'm not surprised that the tremor is happening. So it shows that the civil society are not up and doing. The NGOs, let's kick it. The moment we name and shame the government and all that, the private sector, they will sit up.
Great.
So to speak, yeah.
I wanted to actually let's look at the area of information, of understanding, of knowing. Public awareness and participation actually very key for energy transition, and that's one of the reasons why a program like this is actually airing. And then how can the government and private sector synergize to better engage Nigerian citizens in understanding the importance of this shift and the steps that they need to take to contribute to this? Because I personally, I believe that we have to get to the point with what is going on, in the world, climate change and, everything about sustainable development, transition and all like that. I believe that we need to get to a point where if we ask a teenager, what is this? The person should be able to give, an answer about what, that shows how serious we are, right? But it seems as though, the entertainment, I'm not saying entertainment is wrong, but it's as if entertainment has taken a large chunk of, affairs of what's going on in this country. So how do you think we can get to the point where a lot of people are aware and measures are taken collectively and, to get, because it was when I started this program, I started bringing in some guests, some experts. I had the consciousness. I don't take, drink plastic water and then just drop it anywhere. I'm conscious of where it goes. Where would it go to? Are you going to sell this if I give to you? So how do we get to the point where everyone is conscious about energy transition?
Entertainment is very good. That's art in green.
That's right.
Okay, and you can see T.Y. Bello saying The Land is Green.
The Land is Green.
Simple. That's a wonderful song, and that you cannot. So you see, the most important thing is making it green is about humanism. So
that's right.
The artist angle of it has not been exploited, and that's why the Alliance is doing something on Clean Energy Award, where we bring in some of these artists, redirect them. Even those who are doing it to, or what do them, Shaki and what do you call them? Shaki, what's the other person's name? I can't remember all those but I do skits.
Okay.
So you need to also teach them, let them come to have understanding, the curriculum, so that we begin to play in that in that space. First of all, what we call stakeholder mapping.
That's right.
The stakeholder mapping, bring to them in the room. The stakeholders identify 5. 1, the government, the policymakers, the private sector, the civil society, okay, the NGOs, the academic and development partners. Let them, even the rural community, the bailies and all that. So the chiefs, let them come. Just let's generate this knowledge. I mean, look, climate change is real.
That's right.
No longer
something we just hear.
No, the thing is not real. Climate change is staring on our face.
That's
so
right.
we should begin to have that knowledge. Create a curriculum. We're designing a green curriculum. Tony Illuminati Foundation. I'm part of the team that designed a curriculum on the green growth or the green economy. I'm handling the sustainable tourism aspect onto the foundation. So, and there's a wonderful curriculum that is going to be turned out. And I need other institutions like GIZ, other institutions are turn up curriculum that can, as a matter, you believe it, a private sector here, a Stephen Group, develop what we call solar technology and management for that. So it is very, 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 very important. We need to begin to put life into the whole thing. I look forward to Davido, Flavor playing these songs on green.
Amazing.
You know, that kind of thing. Not yeah. So it's very. I'm up and doing. I want to engage them. I look forward to engaging them because it's money spin as well. And, you know, look at before Michael Jackson died, you can see his song on. You know, that is song on he recorded that in South Africa. Wonderful, you know. So thank you brought this. I look forward to more in the discussions on art and green.
No problem. It's unfortunate we have to call it a wrap here. And
Mr. Sabin is what I mean. That's Sabin is what I mean. Sabin is, I forgot to say.
Yeah. All right. We have to call it a wrap here. Fortunately, unfortunately, but it was a great conversation with Professor Magnus Onoha today. And like we always do at the end of every program, let's take a moment to celebrate community champions who are turning trash into treasure. Yeah. You are wonderful people.